Hi guys, this is Harshit Bhardwaj. Hope you can hear me fine. Okay, so it's all live and working. Good morning, Aditya. First of all, accept my apologies and gratitude for your patience. This week has been a little crazy. Not bad, not bad. Could be worse. But I suffered my first heat stroke of the season. I used to joke when I saw anyone else suffering from heat stroke, or so it just happened briefly, couple of days, but it drained the entire body of everything. But thankfully, it's over. Good morning, Ajay. Good morning, everyone else. Let's get back to EM Forster and wrap it up. Even last night, I couldn't sleep at all. It was raining, and then the power disruption. I woke up at 4:30, and I walked out to my balcony and I looked out, and there were people doing yoga at 4:30, like they were gathering up their mats to and in the wet grass. So they were wondering whether to do it sitting down on the wet grass or do it standing up. 4:30, 4:45. So amazing what happens. It was a beautiful morning. So okay, those who are part of the answer evaluation, please feel free to send your answers now. And we will count your month. Those who are paying for the month, we'll count your month from the first submission. So this Sunday is the first submission. Saturday or Sunday, it's okay. Today is Friday. So Saturday or Sunday, both are fine. So please submit, everyone, because the clock is ticking. Tick tock. Okay, why can't we see the PPT? I have no idea. Okay, my bad. Now we should be able to. Hi Ritika, thanks a lot for your wonderful message on the Guru Purnima. I didn't know it was Guru Purnima. So wonderful. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Full moon nights, full moon days are really special. So now you're all here. I'll try to play. I'm really excited today. You know why? Because I'm getting my first big flute today. So far, I've only got this one, and you'd be surprised how much they cost, these flutes. So I'm getting my first proper big professional flute of E scale, which is supposedly harder, and I'm really excited. I'm waiting eagerly. I'm checking the tracking, blue dart tracking every once in a while. So I'll try and play 2 minutes. Just allow me 2 minutes. I can't hold on to my excitement anymore. that's a release. Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you guessed the song. I played it good enough for you to guess the song. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. I hope it sounded nice on this mic. Could you guess the song? Anyone could guess the song? This is a beautiful flute. This is my first flute. It's nowhere near perfect, but this is my first love. It is actually it is bent now, and but it's my first love. Need a lesson on flute. There are so many great teachers out there. Ashwin Srinivasan sir, he is a legend. Look him up on YouTube. Ashwin Srinivasan, absolute god. I've had some very good teachers, but I see that's the thing. In today's day and age, guys, teachers are not a problem. Not a problem. Just like Eklavya, you can learn from anyone. Basically, you can learn from A.R. Rahman. You can learn from anyone. But it requires some kind of preparation from a student side to be able to hold on to a good teacher. First of all, recognizing the right teacher, right good teacher, and then hold on to that teacher. Because right now, आओगे जब तुम साजना. Very good, Varun. So I was almost there. Good morning, Neelam. So holding on to a good teacher is difficult. It's ironic because it's easier to find a teacher, but it's difficult to hold on to a teacher. Easier to find because there's so many options. Holding on to a good teacher requires sincerity and a lot of dedication. So I've had, my first teacher was Ritesh Prasanna. He is the son of legendary flautist Pandit Rajendra Prasanna, and they live in Delhi. And I just found him and went to meet him. And I met his father, Guruji. Ritesh is younger than me, much younger, but he's amazing. So he gave me couple of lessons, 2-3 lessons physically. So that's how I got started. Then I left it at that. Then COVID happened. And then I took some lessons from Prakash Hegde sir for a month. 4 lessons online for a month. I couldn't hold on to any of these teachers. And so that's the point. That's the problem, yeah. So you hold on to all your good teachers, and not just for your preparation, but for your life. Okay, I'm not talking about myself, just myself. Any teacher who touches you, any teacher who is able to pluck your chords, जो आपके सुर छेड़ पाता है, उसको होल्ड ऑन करके रखना पड़ेगा आपको पूरी ज़िंदगी. Even though you don't meet the person, keep your teacher in the highest sections of your heart forever. And you pray to God, when you pray to anyone, that section of gratitude and respect, keep your teachers there, right? Because they are always there with you. Let's move on to A Passage to India by Forster. Okay, one small update on the answer writing. The group that we have made for answer writing students who have enrolled for it is for basic queries and your discussion between yourselves. Alright? I will practically won't be able to answer your queries like in FAQ if you keep asking me on Telegram how to do this, how to read this poem, where to get this text. Please ask your fellow students first. Because please don't expect me I can answer your For you they are good big queries, but for where to get this poem's text, stuff like that, how to read this poem, it's difficult for me to answer those. So the whole idea of that answer writing group is you pick any questions you want to solve and you just send them to me. It's as simple as that. So there is no formality of what questions you have to solve. 5 questions every week, just keep sending them. It's as simple as that. Right? Whatever you're reading, whatever you've done, just keep sending them. The whole idea is to get you to write. It doesn't matter what you write. But pick an actual PYQ, not a random question from your university textbooks. Actual UPSC questions you got to solve, so that you work with that format, the word limit, the time limit. Don't worry about the time limit as of now, but at least start writing. Don't think too much. Most of you joined the test series last week, and I haven't seen any answers. One or two of you have sent me 5 files, 4 files, like 1 question, then 2 questions. I told you just 1 file of 5 questions once a week. Keep it simple for me and for yourself. Okay, any questions, any queries you have, first try asking this in the group to your fellow students, fellow aspirants. Okay. Passage to India. We will start with this one because this is the core question. Is Passage to India an Englishman's view of the Indian scenario? Then we'll look at we'll look at the structure once again. Last time we talked about the structure, but we didn't look. So we'll take this question. India is a muddle, because this is on structure. And in 13 they asked you this for 25 marks. Okay. Is A Passage to India an Englishman's view of the Indian scenario? 40 marks. Of course, you don't have to write a 40 marker now, thankfully. This was the time when only English literature graduates could opt for this optional. So, probably that's one of the smartest move UPSC made, that they allowed anyone to pick this optional. And what that changed is the paper format. And I think this is probably the smartest thing that has happened in the entire world with English literature exam, with any English literature exam. There is a place for a long form writing in literature. There is a place for that. Right? 5,000 word assignments, 2,000 word, but not in the exam scenario. So even the university question papers in our country, they are all flawed. I am saying it publicly. I've said it many times before. Asking a student to write an answer in, 2,000 words, 3,000 words in an exam setting, timed, that's not how you write a literature answer. That's an assignment. It's an essay. So you have to figure out whether you just want to test their... It's like a novel and a short story. Short story is short in length. That does not mean it's anyway lesser than a novel. Novel is a different beast. Short story is a different beast. You can't judge someone's novel writing capabilities based on his short stories, and the vice versa. So what UPSC requires is a shorter writing. For the longer writing, you have essays. Right? So it's very clear. So why do you need a 40 mark answer? In any exam of English literature, why do you ask students to write 2,000 words or 3,000 words? For 3,000 words, it is a scholarly paper. It's an essay. For an essay, a literature essay, you need references. Nobody in the entire world asks a literature student to write a 3,000 word essay in the exam scenario. Because for literature, you need a lot of references, you need bibliography, you need to consult text. So you're given time. घर पे लिखो, किताबें इकट्ठा करो, पुट इट टुगेदर, पुट एन आर्ग्यूमेंट टुगेदर. एग्जाम में 3 घंटे में 5 क्वेश्चन लिखो, इट इज़ सच ए फुलिश आइडिया. सो आई एम so thankful that UPSC realized that we cannot expect them to give a lot of critical references. We cannot expect them to write a 3000 word essay. अगर आप 3000 वर्ड का ऐसे लिखोगे, इस पे लिखोगे पैसिस्ट इंडिया, मतलब क्या लिखोगे आप इसमें? You will write all kinds of bullshit without any referencing. बिना किसी रेफरेंस के, बिना किसी टेक्सचुअल लॉजिक के, क्योंकि आप 3000 वर्ड में कितनी रेफरेंसिंग, आपको कितनी याद रहेगी? कोई भी नहीं याद कर सकता. मतलब ये दे आर एक्सपेक्टिंग यू टू बी ए जीनियस. तो 20 मार्क्स, 300 वर्ड्स, नो रेफरेंसिंग रिक्वायर्ड, जस्ट अ लॉजिकल बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर, एब्सोल्यूट मिनिमम बेसिक रेफरेंसिंग फ्रॉम द टेक्स्ट एंड योर आर्ग्यूमेंट. दैट्स ऑल दे आर लुकिंग फॉर. 20 मार्क्स में, 15 में, 10 में. दैट्स द आइडिया. तो अभी is passage to India and Englishman's view of the Indian scenario. I asked you, there are 2 parts of this question. Englishman's view and Englishman's view and the Indian scenario, the Indian scenario. So if you don't understand these 2 phrases clearly, you will not get this answer. Most students will feel that basically what they're asking is it a biased view of India? इज पैसेज टू इंडिया एंड इंग्लिशमैन्स व्यू का मतलब एक बायस्ड व्यू है, एक अंग्रेज़ के नज़रिए से बायस्ड है. अच्छा है बुरा है वो सेकेंडरी बात है, एक बायस्ड व्यू है, कंप्लीट व्यू नहीं है इंडिया का. बट इट्स नॉट ऑफ इंडिया, इट्स ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर सिनेरियो, द इंडियन सिनेरियो, द colonized इंडिया अंडर द ब्रिटिश राज. दैट सिनेरियो उस सिनेरियो का है. एन इंग्लिशमैन्स व्यू में आप बोल सकते हो कि यस इट इज़, देर आस्किंग वेदर इट इज़ ए बायस्ड और प्रेजुडिस्ड और स्टेरियोटिपिकल व्यू. तो देर ऑल डिफरेंट. बायस्ड कैन बी ए पॉजिटिव बायस एंड ए नेगेटिव बायस. प्रेजुडिस्ड इज ऑलवेज नेगेटिव. इनकम्प्लीट or stereotypical is a different argument. Do you understand how many options open up when you look at the question with an open mind? How many paths you can take? Just one simple question, 2 lines. There's so many decisions you have to make when you have to start writing. But you take those decisions and then you decide, what am I going to write about? That is the first part of your answer, the intro. Is your argument, because the first part, the intro, clearly must demonstrate how you understand the question. आपको क्या समझ में आया क्वेश्चन में? आप सीधे से लिखना शुरू कर देते हो और उसको पढ़ने के बाद मेरे को समझ में आता है कि आपने समझा क्या. इसलिए आई फोकस ऑन द इंट्रो पार्ट एंड दिस इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट आंसर राइटिंग ट्रिक, कि द वेरी फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ योर आंसर मस्ट clearly demonstrate how you understood the question and what exactly is your line of argument. अब इसमें ये क्योंकि interrogative question है, so is a passage to India and Englishman's view the Indian scenario? Yes or no or both or partly. कई सारे options हो सकते हैं इसकी line of argument. आप बोल सकते हो yes है, लेकिन क्या है? Yes, it's an Englishman's view, Englishman's biased view of the Indian scenario under the British Raj, the situation of India under the British Raj. क्योंकि आपको इंडियन सिनेरियो को भी बताना पड़ेगा. What do you understand by it? Which Indian scenario? इंडिया नहीं, इंडियन सिनेरियो, the Indian scenario. आप बोलते हो yes, it's a biased view. एक yes, it's a prejudiced view. 2 कुछ स्टूडेंट्स ने वर्ड यूज़ किया था मायोपिक. यस इट इज़ ए मायोपिक व्यू. कुछ बोलते हैं यस इट इज़ ए स्टेरियोटिपिकल व्यू, ही इज़ डूइंग एन ओरिएंटल स्टेरियोटाइपिंग. लेकिन जो लोग ये बोलते हैं, जो यस वाला बोलते हैं, वो वहाँ पे there is some scope to say that E.M. Forster was not a typical Englishman. He was educated, he spent time in India, he was liberal, he was an author, he was a great novelist, he was a great observant. But still, he could never understand India, and it always was going to be an Englishman's view. अब वो उसने demonstrate किया है book में. If you look at the structure of the book, the mosque, caves and temple, the cave section is the crux of the book. And throughout he has shown not his ignorance, but his inability to completely understand the Indian scenario. अगर पूरी बुक का एक जिस्ट मैं बताऊं, which Forster is trying to tell us by demonstrating, that is this, that he is telling us that no matter how liberal or educated or sympathetic a Britisher is, a colonizer is, like Cyril Fielding, we have a character. No matter how brilliant, educated, intelligent, sympathetic a Britisher is, he simply cannot get it. This is a completely different world. It makes you muddle-headed. मडल वाले क्वेश्चन पे आएंगे तो विल टॉक अबाउट इट. अगर मैं बोलता हूँ फॉर एग्जाम्पल आदित्य, यू आर अ मडल, इट्स एक्चुअली नॉट अ कॉमेंट ऑन यू. मडल का मतलब है स्टेट ऑफ कंफ्यूजन. स्टेट ऑफ कंफ्यूजन में आदित्य नहीं है. आदित्य जिससे बात करता है उसको स्टेट ऑफ कंफ्यूजन में ला देता है. सो इंडिया इज ए मॉडल. इट एक्चुअली सेज दैट it's explaining the state of mind of the Britishers. India induces that. Dr. Aziz induces that state of muddle. So what he is saying is that it is impossible for a colonizer to completely understand and consequently do justice to a colonial society. It's completely impossible. That's all he is saying. कि आप नहीं समझ सकते. You cannot get down to that level. You cannot understand that culture. It's a completely alien thing to you. और उसमें उसने ये भी दिखाया है कि एक मेजर सेक्शन ऑफ द ब्रिटिश सोसाइटी, ब्रिटिश ऑफिसर्स, they don't even want to understand. But even those who want to understand, so it's not about the racist Britishers in this text. It's about the three characters who want to understand India. Adela Quested, Mrs. Moore and Cyril Fielding. All of them fail miserably. Mrs. Moore dies. She does not even survive the shock of India. Adela Quested goes back shattered. Cyril Fielding goes back disappointed. तो जो तीन मेन कैरेक्टर्स हैं, जो those who really sincerely want to understand, even they fail. That's the message of E.M. Forster. And he is saying until that happens, you cannot rule a society. You cannot govern. You cannot, in the most जिसको इंग्लिश में क्या बोलते हैं, हिंदी में बोलते हैं न्याय संगत तरीके से. So if you look at the great kings that we've had in our history, like Samrat Ashok or Chandragupta Maurya, Vikramaditya of Vikram Betal stories, they were all great kings, and there's so many other great kings that we give examples of. They, and even Ram, you must have heard this, that the king always has to put the praja, the people, before him. The example of Ram listening to an ordinary citizen of his state questioning Sita's sanctity. He even gave complete hearing to that ordinary man, listened to his thoughts, and he acted on them. That's how much importance, and that's how much sincere they were to their people. So here, if you're governing, Britishers are governing India, and they don't understand. Forster is saying they simply cannot understand. It's not about willing to try, because we have three fantastic characters who are willing to try, and they perish. So that status quo will always remain master and slave. That's why the friendship cannot be an option. Friendship always happens when both the parties are at the same level. That is why this minor theme of friendship is so brilliant. Dr. Aziz has been showed as someone who wants to be friends with the British. Deep down, he idolizes them. He dresses like Ronnie. Right? Everything that you see, Aditya, I am reading your comments. Everything that you see that is about the Indian scenario that Forster has written about, and as an Indian, you read it and you feel offended, or you feel that this is misinformation or this is bad. That all is deliberate. Forster is repeatedly telling you that he or any Englishman simply cannot understand it. This is the best way they can describe it. He's proving it by doing it. Do you get it? That's how beautiful this text is. That's how beautiful, that's the genius of an author. Because you have to understand his situation. He was writing in 1924. He was in London. The British Raj was at its peak. So he had to find a device. He had to work in the symbols and metaphors. He had to find his structure is his device. Everything that you read about India, the Indian architecture, the Indian people, the muddle-headedness, everything that is generalizing, where he's coming up with lack of information or lack of understanding, that's his demonstration. And this is all happening through three English characters. Cyril Fielding, Adela Quested, Mrs. Moore. The most sympathetic, fantastic people. Good human being. Probably he spent, some students complain that why he has shown Mrs. Moore, Adela Quested and Cyril Fielding as the best human beings, the best characters. They don't have any flaws. They are shown as perfect. While Dr. Aziz has a lot of flaws, Professor Godbole has a lot of eccentricities, all the other minor Indian characters, they have all issues. But these three English characters, they are presented as flawless. Why? Why they have been presented as flawless? Because he is telling you that even the best of the best from England, the most sympathetic human beings, the most curious, the most earnest, most humane, most intelligent, even they fail to understand. So what can you expect from those who don't even want to try? This is what he underlines as the problem of colonialism. It's not that you can just get to any, for example, the American Red Indian situation, Red Indians and the settlers. You simply cannot, either you be part of that culture and adopt their identities, then it can happen, or you'll have to destroy the other culture to establish your own. There is no other way. And Britishers ended up doing this to us. Just look around you, what we wear, what language we speak. Just look around. Does it make sense? ये बात सबको समझ में आई? how do we distinguish genius with indifference and inability? Well, a genius can very well pass on as a maniac. If you met Albert Einstein on the streets or met him in a cafe, do you think you'll realize he's a genius in 10 minutes or even after? So it you gotta get to that level of understanding to be able to spot a genius. Right? I'm not saying I'm a genius, that's why I can identify him. But I've read this text so many times. Another thing that I would like to share with you is you have to keep hold of this, and you have to trust me on this. Okay, if you're gonna do this syllabus, almost all the authors that we have in the syllabus, they are legends. They have proven themselves. They are proven legends. They are not one book wonders, or they are not simply commercial success stars, superstars. They are not. If you're reading Passage to India after 100 years, 90, 80 years, and it still is relevant, that proves that this is not an ordinary text. In 100 years, hundreds and thousands of critics from around the world must have dissected this text, tore it apart, right? And it still is there. It still is part of your syllabus, the highest exam in India. So there is a reason why E.M. Forster is here. When a great author, I've told this before, I'm telling you this again. A great author constructs a text very deliberately. Very deliberately. Everything that is happening in the text is deliberate. There is a reason for it. And he or she will not explain you the reasons. Forster has a unique problem because he could not. He had to write in a cryptic language, in a cryptic literary language. But even any other modernist writer, that's how this text becomes modernist. Otherwise, it does not use other modernist devices like Eliot or Joyce or Woolf. But in its inability to explain things like the Victorians, in its awareness of its consciousness that I'm doing this. You know what happens when you're conscious? अब आप कॉन्शियस होते तो क्या करते हो? आपको स्टेज पे एकदम से बुला लिया गया एंड हम बोलते हैं वी बिकम कॉन्शियस. तो क्या होने लगता है कॉन्शियस होते तो आप यू ऑब्जर्व एवरी टाइनी मूवमेंट ऑफ योर बॉडी. आपको अपना you remember कि एक पैर यहाँ है, एक पैर यहाँ है. You remember कि my hands are moving in wrong direction. You remember कि अरे बाल सही नहीं है. You remember कि अरे मेरी शर्ट पे चाय का स्पॉट है कहीं लोगों को. You remember everything. You become conscious of your entire physical and even mental self. So when a text is conscious, when an author is conscious that he is trying to create something, तो उसको लगता है कि यार कॉन्शियसनेस का मतलब ही है कि आई विल बी फाउंड आउट. मॉडर्निस्ट टेक्स्ट्स आर कॉन्शियस टेक्स्ट्स कि आई विल बी फाउंड आउट बाय अबाउट व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू डू. तो वो उसको और छुपाता है. सो व्हेन यू बिकम नर्वस यू ट्राई टू हाइड इट, है ना. व्हेन यू आर कॉन्शियस, स्टेज फ्राइट हो या कोई भी और कारण हो, तो यू ट्राई टू हाइड इट. कुछ ना कुछ करते हैं हम. And some critics have said that that's why modernists use all those cryptic symbols and mythologies and all kind of stuff to kind of hide their consciousness, because they're trying to do something really revolutionary, and they know that they are doing something really revolutionary and they become conscious of it, so they try to hide it. So everything that Forster is doing is deliberate. The structuring of the text, the naming of the characters, the bad rap, the bad descriptions about Indian characters via Cyril Fielding or via any other characters, all that is towards an overall emotion. And the overall emotion is this. The sum total is this, that this is the best I can understand India, and this is far from enough. This is ugly. अगर आपको एज एन इंडियन पैसेज टू इंडिया पढ़ के गुस्सा आता है, आपको लगता है कि इसको इसको क्या पता, then his job is done. He is not trying to ignite you, he is not trying to annoy you, he is not trying to frustrate you. He is simply saying कि I cannot write better than this about India because I cannot understand. That's all he's saying. He's proving it, he's demonstrating it. And the text is not written for you, Indians, for us. It's written for the colonial masters. That you are the reason the country is in tatters. You are ruining it. Because how can you govern a country if you do not understand it, and you cannot understand it? That's it. That's the argument. Pihu Malhotra, you can mail me at upsc.english@gmail.com. Are you writing the mains for 2022? Okay. Let's talk on the structure a bit. Do you think the structure is very simplified? Do you think the structure is very beaten down? Do you think the structure of the text is what's the right word? बहुत इतनी बड़ी कंट्री, इतनी बड़ी कल्चर को he just structured it into religious mosque, temple and then caves. ऐसे स्ट्रक्चर में इसने उसने he's deliberately put it. Do you think this is a huge injustice? This should be the first annoyance or frustration or offense we should take as an Indian. Again, this is what he is saying, because this text is was going to be read by the British, and this reflects not the intelligence of the writer or the Indians. This reflects the intelligence of the British readers. Anything more complicated than this, ऐसा नहीं है कि फोस्टर could not properly reflect what India was. Of course, he stayed here and he understood India, but he had to bring it to them in the most simplified and stereotypical structure. It's a reflection of their understanding and intelligence, the colonial understanding. Mosque, temple, caves, that's all India is. A mystical, ancient culture that we don't simply get to understand and we don't want to. And then the religions, the infighting of religions. So many different things happening. So he beats it down to mosque, caves and temple. The mosque section starts off, a mosque is a symbol of, if you talk about a standard universal symbol, mosque is a symbol of where people come together for one specific purpose, to pray to the higher God, to pray to Allah. It's a place where there is harmony. People come together of different beliefs, of course believers of Islam, but with their different ideologies, different backgrounds, everyone rich and poor, they all come together and they all bow down and there is harmony, right? Then temple, if you don't look at it from the religious point of view, but that is what he's projected in the literal reading, in the superficial reading. But deeper down, when you read the sections, you'll realize in the mosque section, We have Fielding's tea party, and we have Major Calendar's. There is a party somewhere else at Major Calendar or someone else's house. Mrs. Moore and Adela, they arrive from England, don't they? So people arrive, people come together. There is a sense of harmony. The weather is nicer, right? Cyril Fielding is trying to network everyone. There is an excitement in the air. Dr. Aziz is a proud Muslim, proud Afghan. Then we move on to the cave section. In the cave section, the caves, the very first line of the text is described that there is nothing extraordinary in the city of Chandrapur except the caves, Marabar caves, and they are 20 miles off. So the caves have been described by Forster as extraordinary. The only thing extraordinary in the entire scenario are the caves. Now the English usage of the word extraordinary is different from how we understand extraordinary. Extraordinary does not necessarily mean something positive. This you have to remember. And go on YouTube and check out how extraordinary is used in the journal communication by the English. Extraordinary is simply more than ordinary. Something different, something not good or bad. Extraordinary can be extraordinarily negative, extraordinarily positive, but he only uses the word extraordinary. City of Chandrapur is indistinct, indifferent, discrete. Caves are the only structure that are not ordinary, they are extraordinary. Right? Now how are they extraordinary? They have been posed as the black hole of the Indian scenario. Yet no light passes through it. The sound echoes. Nothing passes through the caves. Nothing passes through. This is the gate. You can come as far as to the mouth of the caves, but you enter at your own peril. That's why none of the other British ladies, officer wives, they've ever been to caves. No one's interested. Mrs. Moore and Adela, they wanted to visit the caves. And did you notice a surprising thing? Again, it's a deliberate omission. Nothing is surprising. Everything is deliberate. Godbole and Cyril Fielding are not able to make it in time. They missed the train. So Cyril Fielding cannot get into the caves. So two ladies who at their own discretion, they enter the caves and they don't get it. It's a black hole. They are attacked by their own imagination, both of them. They are attacked by their own fears. Because that's the nature of a black hole. So caves is where Forster is telling us that this is it, guys. This metaphorical device is telling you that you simply cannot go beyond this. You can do nothing about it. You can stay aloof like Ronnie and Major Calendar and the other officers. You can stay aloof, but that does not make you aloof. You live with ignorance and you act out of ignorance, and that's why you create huge injustices in your governance, and that's why this whole scenario is getting uglier. So even if you want to get into the caves, you will not get an answer. You will not get through. So as I keep coming back to the whole idea that he is proving again and again that it is impossible for an Englishman to understand. And that's the argument he is making against colonialism. without making an argument. Does it make sense? How long we've been going? Now, temple, Lionel Trilling, one of the renowned critics, asked Forster why the temple part was added. So Forster says that it was architecturally necessary to complete the text. So there was a mosque, so he needed to add the temple. But it will be wrong to look at the temple and the mosque in religious terms only. That is again the superficial reading, and he meant. So this structuring, all those superficial parts that you see, that there is a primary Muslim character, there is a primary eccentric Hindu character, then there is a British side, the bad British characters, then the good British characters, right? Then the structuring in mosque, temple, and mosque caves and temple. This superficial part is to get the Britishers at least read it, to get into the text. These are all the stereotypes he has created. In 2016, there was a brilliant question on Oriental stereotyping, that E.M. Forster deliberately wants to get away from Oriental stereotyping, but he ends up doing the stereotyping. 2016 का वो question है. Please everyone solve that question. So what I have been talking about for last 20 minutes is about what they asked in 2016. That even though Forster is against stereotyping, against any Oriental stereotyping, he ends up doing it. तो उस क्वेश्चन में आपको ये आप बोल सकते हो कि yes, he ends up doing Oriental stereotyping, but there is a reason for it. He is doing it deliberately, because अगर वो कुछ ऐसा लिखे बिल्कुल something that his real observation and his real understanding about India and non-stereotypical characters create करे, completely unique original Indian characters create करे, तो किसी को वो बुक इंग्लैंड में समझ में आएगी? कोई उससे कनेक्ट करेगा? Will anyone be able to connect and identify with the Indian scenario? So he needed a superficial structure that any Britisher would right away identify, recognize and understand. That's why the Oriental stereotyping is a superficial structure of this text. That's why we have a mosque. He could have said it anything else. उसमें मतलब mosque एक scene mosque का है, temple वाले में एक scene temple का है. That does not make it worth कि उसका title ही आप temple या mosque दे दो. वो कुछ he could have named it anything else, but he deliberately made it Oriental stereotype so that people of England, of the empire, they could understand, they could recognize right away. Okay, इंडिया की बात हो रही है तो एक स्नेक चार्मर लाओ, एक गुफा लाओ, गरीब लोग लाओ, एक मुस्लिम लाओ, एक हिंदू लाओ, गंदी गंदी जगह दिखाओ, गंगा के गंदे घाट, ऑल द होल वर्क्स. अगर आप वो नहीं दिखाओगे, वहाँ से बात शुरू नहीं करोगे और आप एकदम से यूनिक ब्यूटी ऑफ इंडिया और वो सारी चीज़ें दिखाओगे, तो रीडर्स वोंट बी एबल टू गेट इन. एंड दिस इज एन अमेजिंग कॉन्सेप्ट. जिसने भी ये मास्टर कर लिया इन एनी आर्ट, Aditya, you're getting involved in a rhetoric that is not never going to solve itself, right? So try and find a way into the text. One thing is certain, that everything is deliberate. Why is he doing it? That's the question. What's the point? Why is he doing it? So superficial stereotyping is happening. The characters are stereotyped. All the characters are stereotyped. कोई भी यूनिक कैरेक्टर नहीं है. Right? There is an eccentric Brahman. There is a fundamentalist educated Muslim. Then all the minor characters are absolute stereotypical. The British characters are absolute stereotypical. Everyone is stereotypical. कहानी वहाँ से आगे बढ़ती है. Why mosque, caves and temple? This concept of structuring a text like this is, I was listening to a very good, very old interview of Anurag Kashyap. Anurag Kashyap is one of the brilliant geniuses, I think. And he said कि everyone thinks कि मैं एक ऐसी कहानी लिखूँगा उसमें बिल्कुल अलग होगी. हर नया राइटर यही सोचता है कि आई विल राइट समथिंग जो बिल्कुल अलग होगा. कैरेक्टर्स ऐसे लिखूँगा कि बिल्कुल अलग होंगे, सेटिंग सब कुछ बिल्कुल आज तक ना लिखा गया हो. हर नया राइटर यही सोचता है और वो करने की कोशिश भी करते हैं. वो चलता नहीं है. मास, कमर्शियल मास उसमें नहीं चलता. वो ठीक है, उसको अगर उसने ठीक से लिखा है तो, एंड इफ़ इट्स वेल रिटन, तो कुछ लोग उसको अप्रिशिएट करेंगे, बहुत करेंगे. कुछ लोग बोल देंगे मास्टरपीस है. 50, 100, 200, 500 लोग उसको बोल देंगे, लेकिन उसका मास एक्सेप्टेंस नहीं होगा. इट वॉन्ट रीच अ लार्जर नंबर ऑफ पीपल. वाई? क्योंकि जो हम भी हैं, एनीवन, इवन यू, ऑल ऑफ अस, एवरीवन, वी क्लिंग ऑन टू व्हाट वी ऑलरेडी नो, है ना. तो बॉलीवुड में कब से एक रोमांटिक हीरो, एक गरीब परिवार से आया हुआ, मेहनती, अच्छे कैरेक्टर का, शरीफ, बहुत स्टेरियोटिपिकल है बॉलीवुड का हीरो. पिछले 60 ईयर्स, 50 ईयर्स, जितना भी टाइम हो गया, बॉलीवुड के हीरो को आप स्टेरियोटाइप करके आप उसको लिख लो और आप 100 फिल्में, 200 फिल्में, 300 फिल्में आप लिख सकते हो जो जिसमें वो स्टेरियोटिपिकल बॉलीवुड हीरो है. एवरी टाइम इट वर्क्स. आपको भी पता है कि ऐसा ही है. एवरी टाइम इट वर्क्स. वाई? जैसे ही कुछ डिफरेंट हीरो आता है तो बात नहीं बनती. सो वी क्लिंग ऑन टू आवर आइडियाज़. तो जो स्मार्ट लोग होते हैं, जो स्मार्ट आर्टिस्ट्स होते हैं, स्मार्ट राइटर्स होते हैं, स्मार्ट फिल्म मेकर्स होते हैं, दे यूज़ दोज स्टेरियोटाइपिंग्स. वहाँ से शुरुआत करके देन दे गिव द कैरेक्टर सम डेप्थ लेटर. लेकिन शुरुआत वो स्टेरियोटाइपिंग से ही होगी. वो शुरू से ही आपको ऐसे नहीं दिखाया जाएगा. ये कंप्लीटली देखो, आज तक आपने देखा नहीं होगा ऐसा कैरेक्टर, कोई कनेक्ट नहीं करेगा उससे. सो वी क्लिंग ऑन टू व्हाट वी ऑलरेडी नो. एब्सोल्यूट न्यू इन्फॉर्मेशन, एब्सोल्युटली न्यू सेंसेशन, न्यू आइडियाज़, they take time until they become stereotypes. That's the irony. तो जब गैंग्स ऑफ वसेपुर में वो एक सरदार खान को हीरो बनाता है, हु इज़ लाइक ए नॉन डिस्क्रिप्ट कैरेक्टर, जिसमें हीरो लाइक जैसा कुछ भी नहीं है. वो कपड़े नहीं पहनता हीरो की तरह, डायलॉग्स नहीं बोलता. ही इज़ नॉट हीरो लाइक एट ऑल. लेकिन उसमें कुछ चीज़ें उसको टिपिकल हीरो वाली डालनी हुई. वो उसने बोला, ही एक्सप्लेन्ड ऑल अबाउट गैंग्स ऑफ वसेपुर, कि सरदार खान मनोज बाजपेयी का कैरेक्टर था. ही वॉज अ नॉन हीरो. ही वॉज नॉट अ विलन बट ही वॉज अ प्रोटैगनिस्ट, बट ही वॉज अ नॉन हीरो. लेकिन पब्लिक को खुश करने के लिए, सिनेमा हॉल में ताली बजाने के लिए, कनेक्ट करने के लिए, वी हैड टू ऐड सम स्टफ कि जो टिपिकल बॉलीवुड वाला जो हीरो होता है वो इस तरह से डांस करता है, इस तरह से मर्डर करता है. ये कुछ चीज़ें जो चेकलिस्ट है, कह रहा हमारे पास पूरी चेकलिस्ट है. सिंपली हम चेकलिस्ट कॉपी कर देते हैं कि इस कैरेक्टर में ये चीज़ें डाल दो, हो जाएगा. सो इट इज़ ए फॉर्मूला. सो टेम्पल, मॉस्क एंड केव्स is a structure, is an oriental stereotyping structure. It's got nothing to do with the religious bifurcation of India. Superficial projection यही है, but Forster is trying something else. Muddle वाला क्वेश्चन जो है, India is a muddle, the whole country is a place of division and disjunction. This comment can be understood as in a positive side. I look at it in a positive way, that he's saying that because the whole country is a place of division and disjunction. Disjunction is a negative word, but the whole country is so different. It's such a large landmass, geographically and demographically, that it is impossible for you to understand, my friend. It is a muddle for you. It brings you to the state of confusion. Someone as educated, as liberal, as sympathetic like Cyril Fielding gets muddle headed. He gives up. Mrs. Moore dies. Adela Quested is hallucinated. So this country is so huge, you simply cannot standardize it. Now, Forster is implying symbolically that you cannot standardize or simplify, beat it down to a simple structure, this country. But his text about that country is in a beaten down, simple, standardized structure. Do you see the irony? By talking about India in this beaten down structure, in the most simplified, almost unjustified, he's exactly telling the opposite. That this is the best we can do, and this is not how you can understand this country. There is no way you can. By different examples, different events happening in the text, different characters, he keeps hammering upon this again and again and again. He gives a brilliant description of Western architecture. Chapter 12, बहुत brilliant description है. But what about when he talks about Eastern architecture? He doesn't know enough. He doesn't know. He talks about geology, how the mountains erupted and the Ganges and all that. He doesn't know enough. He's showing off his Western scientific temperament. कि ऐसा सोचते हैं अंग्रेज. They don't know enough. Huh? I have been repeating this for last half an hour, this same idea. Now do you get it? By making this all very stereotypical, by making it the entire structure, the whole thing very stereotypical and simplified and beaten down, it's not E.M. Forster's ignorance or his biased or incomplete or myopic perspective. It is his deliberate intention. He is saying that this is the best an Englishman can do, and that is the strongest reason why they should not be here. They cannot do any justice to a place they cannot even come close to understand. Does it make sense? बहुत सिंपल बात है if you understand it, लेकिन बहुत गहरी बात है. It's very very okay. इसमें this I've already shared. That's the question. This is the question that I told you about. क्या हुआ यहाँ पे? Okay, in spite of the general view that Forster's novel is a critique of Oriental stereotypes, the novel still clings to racial stereotypes while depicting Indian characters. So now you understand? This question is one of the most interesting and tricky questions that UPSC has asked in last 15-20 years. And I think what we've been discussing for last half an hour answers this. You understand this well. And yes, he is using Oriental stereotypes, but now you understand why. So once you understand that whatever Forster is doing is deliberate, ऐसा नहीं है कि उसने करना कुछ चाहा और उसको हो कुछ और गया. He is absolutely sure what he is doing. He knows. So when he is depicting Indian characters, he uses racial stereotypes. अगर वो नहीं करेगा, जैसे बॉलीवुड में किसी बिहारी कैरेक्टर को दिखाते हैं तो दे यूज़ दोज स्टेरियोटाइप्स. अगर एक बिहारी कैरेक्टर को बॉलीवुड में दिखाएंगे नॉन स्टेरियोटिपिकल वे में तो क्या कोई देखेगा? इट्स रॉन्ग. आई नो हॉलीवुड में द वे ब्लैक कैरेक्टर्स आर शोन, वे द एशियन कैरेक्टर्स आर शोन, इंडियन कैरेक्टर्स, चाइनीज़, उनको उसी स्टेरियोटिपिकल वे में दिखाया जाता है. इंडियन कैरेक्टर्स होते हैं या तो कॉर्नर शॉप पे बैठे हुए होते हैं, या डॉक्टर्स होते हैं, या टेकी नर्ड होते हैं, बहुत स्पेसिफिक स्टेरियोटाइप्स में. देयर इज अ रीज़न, बिकॉज दैट्स हाउ पीपल आइडेंटिफाई विद देम. This is an artistic requirement. But deep down, he's a critique of Oriental stereotypes. क्योंकि Oriental stereotypes का मतलब है the West is superior, white men are superior, East is inferior. His overall perspective is not that. He is not proving anyone superior or inferior. वो ये भी नहीं बोल रहा है कि West is not superior. वो ये भी नहीं बोल रहा है कि ईस्ट इज़ नॉट इन्फीरियर. ही इज़ नॉट कंपेयरिंग एट ऑल. ही इज सेइंग द वेस्ट सिंपली कैन नॉट अंडरस्टैंड द ईस्ट. देयर इज़ नो पॉइंट ऑफ सुपीरियोरिटी. अगर आपको समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा कुछ तो आप उसको जज कैसे कर सकते हो? हाँ, कांट सी फुल क्वेश्चन. छोटा करते हैं इसको अब. Now you can see it. I'll read out. In spite of the general view that Forster's novel is a critique of Oriental stereotypes, the novel still clings to racial stereotypes while depicting Indian characters. Okay, Forster portray the common racial prejudices and tensions between the Indians and the British. ये किसी स्टूडेंट्स ने हमारा बनाया था स्लाइड्स. ये पॉइंट्स the points are not very good. So common racial prejudices, ये बहुत easy. This is, if ऐसे कोई question आएंगे तो these are very easy questions कि किस तरह से common racial prejudices दिखाई हैं, instances of racism. Balance of antipathy and sympathy. तो there is, जैसे बात होती है कि there are two kinds of Britishers. Cyril Fielding, Adela Quested and Mrs. Moore and the rest of them. So antipathy and sympathy उसको बैलेंस करके रखता है. ये हो गया thematic and symbolic significance of the mosque, caves and temple. We've talked about this. इस तरह का question, there is a high possibility they can talk about the symbolic significance of the entire structure, all three parts, or they can ask about a specific part. There is a high probability of this structural question. इसमें प्लीज़ सिर्फ एक रिक्वेस्ट है कि डोंट राइट द मीनिंग ऑफ थीमेटिक एंड सिम्बॉलिक. ओके, E.M. Forster's passage to India is replete with liberal dilemmas in England and India. This is an interesting one. बहुत स्लो पीछे चल रहा है आज ये. I don't know why. So read this question again. You can't probably see it. और इसको मैं नीचे भी नहीं कर सकता. E.M. Forster's A Passage to India is replete with liberal dilemmas in England and India. Liberal dilemmas क्या होती हैं? What are the liberal dilemmas? The biggest liberal dilemma I think that happens is the exploration of friendship between Forster and Fielding. Not Forster and Fielding, Fielding and Dr. Aziz. That is from the British side, Fielding side. From Dr. Aziz's side, the liberal dilemma could be that being a fundamental Muslim, he acts and behaves and idolizes and dresses like the British. So there is a hypocrisy there and there is a dilemma there for him because he wants to be a liberal but deep down he is not. He wants to act liberal but deep down he is not. Yeah, so even if you just focus on this and work on this, you will be fine. एक क्वेश्चन जो मडल वाला क्वेश्चन है, so we have a muddle, the concept of muddle, whole country is at place of division and disjunction. Then we have simpler questions like instances of racial prejudices, character sketch of Adela, Dr. Aziz, Professor Godbole, Cyril Fielding, 10 marker mein that can happen. Then this variation of this question, an Englishman's view of the Indian scenario. Then the structure, structure mein they can specifically ask about the caves. A very small question that has come more than once is what happened at the cave section, in the cave section, or what happened at the caves. तो पूछते हैं उसमें what happened in the caves, उसमें students पूरा summary लिख देते हैं कि क्या क्या हुआ. They are not asking you to paraphrase the story. They are asking your critical inputs as to what exactly happened symbolically. तो स्ट्रक्चर वाले क्वेश्चंस में से एक क्वेश्चन बनने के चांसेस हमेशा हैं. ओके. मॉडल क्वेश्चन दे आस्क्ड वेरी स्मार्टली वंस और ट्वाइस, क्योंकि वो मॉडल का क्वेश्चन एवरी सेकेंड ईयर आता ही आता है, तो उसको दे हैव टू वेरी इट. एक बार उन्होंने पूछा जो सबसे ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग लगा मुझे कि डू यू एग्री विद फील्डिंग्स व्यू दैट डॉक्टर अजीज इज़ ए सिंबल ऑफ इंडियाज़ मॉडल. Do you agree with Fielding's view? I'll write it down actually for you. Oh. Can you see it? Okay. So, do you agree with Fielding's view that Dr. Aziz is a symbol of India's model? I always say every question is two questions. एक जो आपको दिखता है, एक जो आपको नहीं दिखता. क्वेश्चन यहां पे ये है कि डू यू एग्री विद फील्डिंग्स व्यू. स्टूडेंट्स इसमें क्या करते हैं, दे गो ऑन एंड ट्राई टू प्रूव दैट यस डॉक्टर अजीज इज अ सिंबल ऑफ इंडियाज मॉडल. यस डॉक्टर अजीज इज ए मॉडल. अब इसमें भी सेकेंड पार्ट में भी दो बातें हैं. देयर आर 2 पॉइंट्स इन द लेटर पार्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन. दैट डॉक्टर अजीज इज ए सिंबल ऑफ इंडियाज मॉडल. इज ही ए सिंबल ऑफ इंडियाज मॉडल. सेकेंड पॉइंट, इज डॉक्टर अजीज हिमसेल्फ ए मॉडल. सो Dr. Aziz can be a model, he can be a confused character, but can he symbolize, can he represent the entire country? इस व्यू से क्या आप एग्री करते हो? डॉक्टर फील्डिंग के इस व्यू से एग्री करते हो कि डॉक्टर अजीज इज ए सिंबल ऑफ एंटायर इंडियाज मॉडल. तो आप यू कैन एग्री दैट डॉक्टर अजीज हैज़ बीन प्रेजेंटेड एज ए मॉडल हेडेड कैरेक्टर. ट्रू. But the view of Fielding that he is the symbol of India's model is far-fetched, myopic, incomplete, stereotypical and ignorant. हम फील्डिंग के व्यू से एग्री नहीं करते कि एक कैरेक्टर कैन बी द सिंबल. दिस इज एग्जैक्टली द ओरिएंटल स्टेरियोटाइपिंग दैट फोस्टर इज ट्राइंग टू डेमोन्स्ट्रेट. डज इट मेक सेंस? ये बात समझ में आई? तो इस क्वेश्चन में छोटा सा क्वेश्चन है, आज तक किसी ने भी पहली बार मुझको ये सही नहीं लिख के दिया। मेरी टेस्ट सीरीज में ये क्वेश्चन है, एवरीवन जस्ट स्टार्ट्स बाय ट्राइंग टू प्रूव कि डॉक्टर अजीज इज मॉडल। पूरे क्वेश्चन में 3 पार्ट हैं, उसका एक पार्ट है ये कि डॉक्टर अजीज मॉडल है, ठीक है, कैन डॉक्टर अजीज बी द सिंबल ऑफ इंडियाज मॉडल, पूछा ये जा रहा है। क्या है, आप फील्डिंग के व्यू से एग्री करते हो? ठीक है, ओके। तो आई थिंक वी कवर्ड अ लॉट ऑफ ग्राउंड। वी बीन ऑन फॉर अबाउट I don't know, 90 minutes, almost 90 minutes. So I think I've made up for the lost classes this week. Do the answers for PM Forster and WB Eats. Those who are part of the answer evaluation. Those who are not, please still do the answers. And next class, first 15 minutes on Monday, I'll try to share some of the answers sent by the students online, and I'll work a couple of answers to show you, what needs to be done. Next, we will be doing, we've done Forster, we've done WB Eats. Have we done Auden? No. We'll take another prose text and we'll do Kantapura. Kantapura on Monday and Wednesday. And then on Friday we'll start T.S. Eliot. So T.S. Eliot will require some weekend study. T.S. Eliot's love song we'll do on Friday, and then Burnt Norton and Journey of Maggie on Monday. Okay? So Purvi, I forgot your name. Anyone who's looking to join for 2022 mains, who's practicing for 2022 mains, write to upsc.english@gmail.com. I'll see you in the next class. You take care and have a good one. Thank you.